If you want to understand where humanoid robots may really come from, this is a good place to start. Not the stage demo, not the glossy factory shot. The useful question is simpler. Who is teaching these robots basic human actions? According to MIT Technology Review, a growing share of that work is being done by gig workers at home. People in countries including Nigeria and India strap iPhones to their heads and record themselves folding clothes, washing dishes, and making beds. Companies then sell that footage as training data to robotics firms. That matters now because investors are spending heavily on humanoid robots, and the bottleneck is no longer just hardware. It is data from the physical world. For a China-focused channel, this is also a window into a bigger question. If robots need huge amounts of human behavior data, what kind of labor system will be built around that need? The article explains a basic problem in robotics. Humanoid robots are hard to train because handling objects in the real world is messy. A simulation can help with movement, but it does not fully capture the friction, weight, timing, and awkwardness of daily life. That is why firms want real videos of real people doing ordinary tasks. The thinking borrows from large language models. A large language model is an artificial intelligence system trained on huge amounts of text. In robotics, some researchers now hope a robot can learn from huge amounts of movement data in a similar way. So workers are asked to perform chores naturally while keeping their hands in frame. The goal is variation. Different homes, different bodies, different ways to open a microwave or fold a shirt. The promise is scale. The uncertainty is whether all this footage is actually good enough to train robots safely and reliably. This is not a side detail. It is a new labor market forming around artificial intelligence and robotics. Micro One, the company in the article, has hired thousands of contract workers in more than 50 countries. Workers submit chore videos each week. The footage is reviewed, accepted, or rejected, and then labeled by artificial intelligence and human annotators. Some workers say the pay is good by local standards. One worker in Nigeria says he earns $15 an hour, which is meaningful income in a difficult job market. But the work can also be repetitive, awkward, and limited by the worker's living space. A studio apartment does not offer endless task variety. A parent has to keep children out of frame. A shared compound means neighbors may be recorded by accident. In other words, robot training data does not come from nowhere. It comes from ordinary people adapting their private space into a workplace. The clearest tension in the story is not technical. It is human. Workers know they are helping train robots, but many do not know exactly how their footage will be used, stored, or shared with third parties. The company says workers should avoid showing faces and personal details. It also says artificial intelligence and human reviewers remove sensitive information. But the article points to a harder reality. Even without a face, a video can reveal a lot. The layout of a home, daily habits, possessions, family rhythms, and social surroundings. Some workers reportedly asked whether their data could be deleted. The company did not say whether deletion happens. That leaves a basic consent problem. People may opt into the job, but do they fully understand the long-term use of their data? For China watchers, that question matters because any large robot ecosystem will need rules about labor, privacy, retention, and accountability. The article briefly notes that in China, workers in dozens of state-owned robot training centers use virtual reality headsets and exoskeletons to teach robots tasks like opening a microwave and wiping a table. That matters because it shows a different path. Instead of relying only on scattered at-home gig work, China may also be building more organized, institution-linked systems for collecting robot training data. We should be careful here. This source does not compare outcomes or say which model works better, but it does give us a useful contrast. One model looks distributed and platform-driven. Another looks more centralized and industrial. Either way, the underlying issue is the same. Humanoid robots need huge amounts of real-world human behavior data, and gathering that data has social costs. So the China big question is not just whether China can build robots. It is how the labor and data systems behind those robots will be structured, governed, and justified.